We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
I'm Danielle.
And we're here every single morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you're dialing in from around the world, it is 9:30 a.m. on our coast. And this is the place where people come together to hang out, to chill, to talk about love, life, relationships, what we can do to have a better version of what we've had. We've been talking about the fact that most of us who have said I do are guilty of doing marriage wrong, us included. And we're here to figure out how to begin to do it right so it leaves a lasting impact, not only on us, but we're leaving a legacy to our children, because our children have a front row seat to our lives. And what we model for them, they will begin to mirror in their adult relationships. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, because you're not just living your life for yourself, you're living your life for your spouse, and you're living your life for your children and the generations that will follow. And that's why we do what we do. So we welcome you. We want to know who you are, where you're dialing in from. So let us know about your city, state, and country so that we can represent you to the fullest. Say
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I sound, you know what? You get into a flow and then I'm not sure if you're on the pause. I mean, if let me just say this about the conversation that we're going to have today. Is a continuation of yesterday. We're talking about why infidelity is so painful. And we're always talking about how can we get to these couples before they come to us so that we can teach them all the things that they need to know before they experience the hurt of infidelity. Because once infidelity is on, once it happens, it's so much more difficult to build those building blocks back up. But imagine if couples had a strong foundation from the beginning, and they understood how destructive infidelity was, and they could actually avoid that. Imagine that. Imagine that. Some of you are actually in that position. Some of y'all tune in every day, and this is going to help you stay on track. So we're going to talk about why infidelity is so painful, in the hopes that those of you who have not crossed that line will avoid it completely. Do not invite this into your marriage.
Do not. And so listen, for all those who are participating in this conversation, make sure you take the time to subscribe, to like, to share. Let the world know that we are on right here, right now, so that this message can spread. You can help save someone else's marriage just by pressing the share button. Stop being selfish. Stop being selfish and thinking about yourself. Think about because I'm going to tell you, we all have family. We all have friends who are going through. They are going through. Marriages have fallen apart all around us. And so you become an ambassador and an advocate of this show when you simply press the share button.
And they do a great job of doing that every day. So we appreciate you guys for continuing to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And let your friends and family know every day. Hey, I'm watching. You coming on? Join me. I'll meet you here. Let's do a room together. Let's join in. Let's kind of have a conversation. You guys can be a conduit to that. So we
absolutely doing it. So let's dive in. We're going to get into this conversation. We're talking about, once again, why infidelity is so painful. But today we're focusing on the pain of the betrayed spouse. We will take the time to talk about the pain of the unfaithful spouse, because both of you are going through something uniquely different. But we want to go through these points and really take our time with it. I think one of the things that we do that is really, 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 really effective is that when we do these last chance weekends, oftentimes people come and they're stuck in their own feeling, their own pain, their own experience, and there's not an understanding, there's not an empathy or a sympathy for what their spouse is going through. So either the betrayed spouse feels like, the unfaithful spouse, they don't get, well, why are you in pain? You don't even deserve to hurt, right? So whatever to your pain. And they don't have an understanding of what they're going through. And oftentimes the unfaithful partner is also oblivious to the pain that they put their spouse through, because in their minds, they weren't doing a painful act. There was nothing painful about what I did. So how could it cause you pain? It's not like I did it because I was trying to hurt you. That wasn't my intention, my objective. So how could it cause you so much pain? And so one of the things that we do is we help kind of unpack, we help pull out some of the greatest fears, some of the negative feelings and emotions that a person has about themselves, about their spouse, about their marriage, about the affair. And you have an opportunity in a very intimate way to share them with each other for the first time in a comprehensive way. And it gives them insight into the daily struggle that each person is dealing with. And so on this show, we're going to walk you through what that looks like. But there's one thing to hear about it, but it's another thing to experience it. And that's why we encourage you to come out to the Last Chance Weekend so that you can get the healing that you need. But let's go to the first point here. Number one, your expectations for what it means to be married has been violated. You know, many of us come into a marriage with expectations that there's going to be emotional, spiritual, social, and sexual exclusivity, that there's going to be a level of commitment, that these now are things that are shared with those in the confines of the marriage. And so when that is violated, it can really shatter or trample upon the belief, the idea, the expectation that the unfaithful, the betrayed spouse had before it actually took place. And so it's very shattering to that person. And now it begins to make them question a whole lot of things. Is it possible that love can never be restored? Is it possible that we can truly have a value system that I thought we had that obviously we don't because of what has occurred? And I think that's very important for the unfaithful partner to understand. And we talk about this all the time, how husbands and wives, before they get married, even though certain things should just be obvious, you've got to take the time to articulate what these expectations are and establish a core value system, right, so that you both are on the same page.
Well, here's what I'll say to that, because I think a lot of people are setting proper expectations, right, in the beginning, till death do us part, right? And, you know, but we all have the expectation of fidelity. I think where we go wrong is we stick our head in the sand very early. You know, many people walk down the aisle with a person that was unfaithful while you were dating. You never got any real therapy. You didn't fix those issues. And you just assumed that marriage would make it better. I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, because there were issues that were unresolved when they walked down the aisle. They had their own internal expectations about what marriage would be and what marriage could do. They didn't have those proper expectations. Their spouse didn't have those same proper expectations. And when you go into the marriage, everything that you brought into the marriage is just magnifies. It gets worse. Yeah. And so, of course, no one expects to be cheated on. But if you actually examine, when you have a chance to talk to somebody and understand the story, you can actually see the roadmap as to how people get from point A to point B.
That's absolutely right. And to your point earlier, Danielle, we want this message to also resonate to people who have not experienced it yet, because if they could learn the pathway to, you know, these type of situations, they can then learn how to course correct and go down a different path to get a different result. And for those who have been down this path, listen, it doesn't mean that it's too late. There's life after an affair. There's a blessed experience that you can have. And to be honest with you, a lot of people wind up having better relationships with a healthier foundation because they never had one to begin with. They never addressed or dealt with issues to begin with. And now there's a possibility of something amazing on the other side of such a devastating experience.
That's a good point. Like, you know, they walk into these relationships having all these issues they never dealt with. And then something like infidelity, which is a major crisis in your relationship, if you know what to do, can actually turn your relationship around. There's this movie with Will Smith called Collateral Beauty. And in the group that I'm leading, one of the ladies had mentioned how, you know, what I'm going through is the collateral beauty of this infidelity, because we didn't have a structure in place. We didn't know how to do marriage. Now we go through this Last Chance Weekend and all these experiences, and we actually get an education on how to do marriage. It's transformational. So you come out of there with a degree in marriage when you didn't have any education before.
Yeah. One thing Tamika says is start in the church, teach what's real and not the cookie cutter lessons. That's one way to get couples before they fall into the pit of infidelity. And that's true. You know, the church typically is the the primary institution where they really advocate marriage and have marriage ministries and marriage seminars and things of that nature. And so, yeah, that's a great place. But, you know, in addition to the church, there's other institutions and organizations that really need to step up as well, because, you know, marriage is the foundation of this entire civilization, of society. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to have a great nation, you've got to have great homes. If you have a great home, which is the family, you got to have a great marriage. Marriage is the foundation of everything. So when they're in alignment, it really speaks to the possibility of what the world can begin to experience. And so that cookie cutter approach, I think you're right. We need to go deeper dive. We need to peel back the layers and get to the realness of the situation, because so many people get married with these, I don't know, ridiculous concepts and ideas based upon what they saw in television or movies. Or yeah, right. Or a distant observation of a couple that they thought were great. But when you get a little bit closer, you begin to see some things and nobody's keeping it real.
Who told us? Like, let's just be honest. Like, who actually ever talked to us about, listen, marriage is going to be hard. You are going to literally be devastated in your marriage. All of your expectations will not be met. Like, nobody is selling that. You know, Hallmark doesn't sell that. You know, the not.com does not sell that. All the places that we go to dial into the fantasy of getting married, nobody sells us that. What we think is going to be a perfect fantasy, a fairy tale, turns out to be a nightmare oftentimes. Yeah. Because we have two different people walking into a relationship with two different expectations, and we never had these conversations about it. We never understood each other's values. And so, I mean, I think this is like a call to the nations to get an education in what it actually means to be married. People talk about this all the time. You know, they go to premarital counseling with their pastors. And so they'll say, well, we went to premarital counseling. We did what we were supposed to do. How is that the standard? Just premarital counseling that could be like a day, an hour, you know, a couple of sessions. And you talk to these couples and they don't even know how their partner feels about finances. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, right. You know, we have to do better.
A lot more needs to be done, folks. Listen, you're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about why infidelity is so painful to the betrayed spouse. We're going to take a moment just to share some messages with you. We'll be right back right after this break to go deeper into this conversation. Stay right there. And we're back, folks. We're talking about this topic, why infidelity is so painful to the betrayed spouse. We were in the first point about how it impacts the expectations of the couple. Now we're going to go to the second part. So here we are. You feel resistance about dealing with the change that you've been thrusted at. That's been thrusted at you.
Let me jump in there on that, because this is a big deal, right? You feel the resistance about dealing with the change that has been thrust at you. Because think about this. Before the infidelity, who did you turn to with everything of concern or importance in your life? Your spouse. When you were happy, you turned to your spouse. When you had drama on your job, you turned to your spouse. When you were frustrated with the kids, you turned to your spouse. Your spouse was the person that you talked to about everything. When your family was acting up, you turned to your spouse. When you slipped up, made a mistake, failed at something, fell down some steps like I did the other day, you turn to your spouse. But when you have experienced infidelity, there's a damage and a breaking that happens in that bond. You no longer feel safe turning to your spouse with your hurt or your pain, because now they have become a source of hurt and pain. And depending on that spouse that you're married to and how they handle that pain, because some people are escapists in nature. And so even when they do wrong, when they are the ones that have hurt you, it is such a hit on their own self-worth and value that they can't deal with it. And so they don't come to you, they don't support you, they run away, and they want you to hurry up and get over it, because it hurts them too much to face the fact that they damaged something so badly in their relationship. It's their fault. They feel wrong, right? So you have that personality style. And then you have the other personality style. They just don't know what to do, right? Nobody taught them how to handle when you've done something so destructive, right? So they can shut down. They can begin to blame. You might have somebody who actually does seek out to get the support and help that they need to fix the relationship. And if you do, thank God. But even if you do, the destruction is so great. The bond has been broken. It takes some time to recover when the person that you have confided your whole life into, who was your rock, has literally betrayed you.
But I like the last part of what you said. You can recover. It just takes time. And it means that there's a commitment that an individual and the couple has to make to that restoration process. And that's what this is all about, being willing to make that commitment and fully embracing all that it actually means. And so when you do that, you realize, wow, there is a light at the end of this tunnel. There is hope on the other side of this. But there's so many people, as we said yesterday, been married, the affair happened 10, 15, 25, 40 years ago. And they're still stuck in negative emotions and pain that they haven't been able to overcome because they weren't willing to go through the process. And so that's why it's so important that you take the time to do that, because we're seeing transformation take place after betrayal. And that's what we're so excited about.
I want to jump to a comment Jackie said. So true. People think marriage is a solution, and it is not. Marriage is a gift and needs to be cherished. It is. And marriage, if it is not cherished, if it is not taken care of, can become a nightmare. And that's what we need to sit in, folks. Like, of course, we know you can recover from anything. It seems hard to believe that you can recover from some of the most devastating betrayal you may have ever experienced in your life. But the fact is, what we need to sit in is that if we do not cherish our marriages, if we do not get a deep understanding that when we betray our spouses, we not only betray our spouses, we betray ourselves, we betray our family, we impact our legacy. There are so many things that are impacted by one choice that you will regret. And that's what we got to sit in. This pain that we're talking about, you don't want to experience and you don't want to invite. So yes, we can recover from anything, but let's sit in this pain a little bit, right? Because what I don't want is for people to get this idea, well, yeah, I could do this, but it could be recovered from. It takes a minimum of 2 years to recover from the hurt of infidelity, a minimum of 2 years. And that's when you're doing the work. Most people don't do the work. Most people don't know how to get started on the work. Most people are struggling in relationships where one person wants to do the work and the other one doesn't. And you got 2 years minimum ahead of you to restore what you broke. So this is not something that we want to play with at all, guys.
It's not. It's something that we want to take serious and realize that we have to do something to make a change and transformation. It kind of leads to the next point, Danielle, because you're afraid that the life you loved is over and that the pain will continue forever. Now, let me just say the pain is a real thing. The pain is a pain that you experience in your head. It's a pain that you experience in your heart. It's a pain that you experience in your physical body. You begin to embody a pain. And when you've been living with this pain, this chronic pain for so long, it shifts and changes you, how you function, how you operate, how you begin to look at life, how you begin to interact with other people. But I want to encourage you that even though there are countless people who stay trapped in that pain, there are countless others who do not, right? So the idea that I'm going to have to deal with this forever, that's actually a choice. It's a choice. You don't have to deal with it forever. And this may hurt your soul right now, but you're choosing to deal with it forever. And I think you could speak to that tremendously, Danielle.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, of course, we're not, it's not something that we're conscious about, right? That we're choosing to sit in pain. But if people are honest with themselves, they will recognize that there are a lot of benefits to staying hurt and to being a victim. There are a lot of benefits to that, right? And so a lot of times without us knowing it, we have chosen to be the victim because we have said, okay, you hurt me and I am going to be intentional and choose not to forgive you. I'm going to be intentional and choose to shut my emotions down and disconnect from you. I'm going to choose to protect me and leave you out there. And while that sounds intuitive to do, protect myself because, this person hurt me and broke my heart and I need to protect myself from them now, is counterproductive to the relationship. So how does this make sense? You've decided to stay in the relationship, but you've also decided to withhold yourself and stay disconnected and stay attached and anchored to the pain. It doesn't work. You can't move forward while one person is attached to the pain. But people don't know what to do. They don't know how to make the decision to heal. They don't even know that they have to make a decision to heal. They don't understand the steps that they have to move through in order to heal. And so that's what we provide. That's why we help people get out of those stuck places so that they can move forward.
And, it kind of speaks to a point that I want to go to this comment really quickly that was made. It says, thank you. I have panic attacks over feeling that this pain may be forever. So in essence, you're experiencing something. You're actually experiencing the experience before you experience it. In your present moment, you're playing out a future experience that hasn't even happened yet, and it's impacting your now. And I need you to know, and I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to everybody who now begins to play out negative future experiences that they assume they're going to that are going to happen in their life because of what's previously happened. You can shift and change that thing around. I think what Danielle said was so important. Many of you want to be healed, but you just don't know how. You want to be restored, but you just don't know how. You no longer have to use I don't know how as an excuse. We at Couples Academy and the things that we have set up represent the how. All you need to focus on is your why. Why do you want to heal? Why do you want to be restored? Why do you want a better marriage? If you are soaked and saturated in your why, then the how that we provide for you doesn't seem as impossible because you have a strong passion and desire to experience something that you currently are not experiencing. So that's why we're encouraging you, set up a discovery call. Let's talk through some options of what we can do to begin to take your life and your marriage to the next level. Let's go to
point 5, Hassani, because I think I pretty much covered point 4. Okay. Your spouse's infidelity robs you of your past. And I think that this is critical. Okay? Alert, pay attention, put your cup of coffee and your tea down. Listen to this because we're talking about why infidelity is so painful. Sit in this pain right now. So that if a situation comes before you, you think, I don't want to go through that. Because when you have infidelity in your life, this is what's so destructive, is that everything, every memory, cherished experience, and I'm getting a little passionate about because I'm thinking about conversations that I've had with my wives who have pictures of themselves on vacation with their husband, that they had such a great time, and that was a memory that they cherished, only to find out at that very time he was cheating and talking to another woman, and that whole moment is just obliterated for her. And so everything that you thought was in the past, all the moments that you shared together, all the days and things that were significant, pictures on your wall, the ring, the gifts, and all the things that represent special moments in your marriage go down the drain because of this infidelity. You now question everything. What were you doing on this day? Were you talking to this person at that time? Did you also give her the same gift, et cetera, et cetera? This is no joke. And that's the beauty of being with somebody for so long. You know, we all as married people look forward to the, 20 years and the 30 years and the 40 years married, because you have history. You know, you've raised kids together. You have memories. Nobody wants to start over and start from scratch, especially when you get to a certain age. Like, you don't want to have to start over and build new memories, because you'll be walking down the street and see something and start laughing about something, a memory with a new person, and they don't know what you're talking about because they weren't there. That's why we value our long-term relationships. But when you betray your spouse, you betray your past, you betray your history and the value of what it meant to have that much time spent together.
And to your point, Danielle, this is why people go on a rampage and tear up, rip up, destroy everything that represents their past, because the past wasn't real. The past,
yes, I mean, I've seen that done, and you can't take it back, Hassani. Like, I've talked to people who have gone in on a rampage and ripped up their wedding pictures, right? When they find out infidelity happened, they rip up, moments that they cherish, and they're tore up. They've burned it. They've thrown it out in the garbage, and they no longer have it. So even though they want to move forward, and here they are in front of us, right, talking about moving forward, those memories, they're only here, and they're entangled with the negative narrative that you're playing with it, that about the affair that happened. And I'm saying it like that because it's not like most of us are actually present for the affair. So we're literally telling ourselves our own story. So not only are you entangling the memories of what you thought was a cherished moment, but you're entangling ideas and thoughts and stories and narratives that you've created about the affair. It's just a toxic situation.
And Danielle, in addition to the fact that it robs you of your past, you know what it also robs you of? Your present. Because in your present, you spend most of your time living in your past. You live in the immediate past, which is when D-Day occurred. And you begin to, in your mind, play out the experience again and again and again. Particularly if you don't have all the details and the facts because your spouse hasn't been honest and transparent about it, you begin to create a past experience based upon the few pieces that you have, because you've used your imagination and your common sense to fill in all the gaps. And now you're reliving that past in your present. So it robs you of the past that you thought you had. It robs you of your present because you're not even living life and to the fullest anymore because you look through the lens of a hurtful past. And it also potentially robs you of your future. We just talked about that. So past, present, and future. So time, your relationship with time has shifted because of the pain that you're currently experiencing. And this is why it seems like a forever reality that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life, because you're trapped in pain, past, present, future. And what a miserable existence to live in. What is there to look forward to? What is there to hope for? What is there to be inspired about when you're soaked and saturated and wrapped and enveloped in so much pain that you don't know your way out? You can't even see anything that's possible for a future with yourself, with your spouse, with anything. And so this is why, guys, we're encouraging you to do the necessary work to change your situation around. This was good, but guess what? We're done for today. We're going to come back tomorrow for a whole lot more. I hope you got something out of this conversation. I know that I did. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We love you guys. See you tonight. There have been questions that were posted in here that we did not take the time to answer because that's what we spend the evenings for. So whatever question you have, it will be addressed tonight in Ask the Experts. I will be back, guys.
Hold on. Hassani, please hold on. I just got to read this. Okay, Gonzalez Smith says, publicly, I truly apologize for the pain that I have caused. I'm truly grateful that I still have my wife. We are grateful for Couples Academy. You know what? Thank you, Gonzalez, for saying that, because there are folks on here who have experienced infidelity, and y'all know what I'm talking about. So thank you for that announcement. And I know Jewel appreciates it too.
That was a bomb drop.
All right, guys.
And I thank you for taking the lead in showing other men and women, whatever side of the offense that you're on, how to do it. Because sometimes it's one thing to apologize in private, but when you acknowledge your fault,
Yes.
your flaw, the things that you've done wrong in public, oh my God, that's
how you do it.
That's how you do it. That's what manhood is all about. I appreciate you, my brother. Love
Lead
you
by
guys.
example.
Love you all. We will see you on tomorrow.